Hello, everybody. I take this off okay? Not going to kick me out of the library? All right. Frank Farrell, thank you very much for the opportunity to serve your community here. I see a lot of people in the audience that I recognize because, we're all one big family, here in California. And I had an opportunity to work all over the state in one way or another. But I'm up here for a reason. It's not about me. It's about our honorable mayor. Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is a path and leave a trail. I think that describes our mayor here in Hayward. She was elected mayor in 2014 and then again in 2018. Prior to that, she was 10 years on the city council. And prior to that, she did a lot of committees and a lot of stuff in the community. And it's my honor to introduce our mayor, Barbara Halliday.
So let's get started. Of course, I have a PowerPoint, and I deliver this message today with maybe a bit of relief, but also a bit of sadness that it will be my last one to this group as mayor. But when we look back, I am so proud of the progress we have all made together in moving this city forward for the last 8 years that I've been mayor, and especially how we've come through the last, it's really going on 3 now almost, that we've been living through this pandemic. And I think that I can definitely say with great pride that the state of our city is strong and its future is bright. And it's really because of all of you. But this talk today is going to be organized around something that we at City Council call our strategic roadmap. It's the product of a facilitated strategic planning process that the council and our executive team first undertook in 2019, and we continue to refine it, and we meet each year to go through it again, to check our progress, and to add new things as they come along. And this is organized around 6 major priorities, which are intended to guide us in policymaking and budgeting and bringing on new programs and projects. I mean, we want to make sure, given our limitations, our staff capacity, that we can do the work we promised to do. And so we're very careful about what we add in, as things get accomplished and move off the list. And so these priorities are preserving, protecting, and producing housing for all, growing the economy, and the Chamber's always been a big help in that area, investing in infrastructure. Like I said, our Measure C bond measure passed in, it wasn't a bond measure, it was a half-cent sales tax measure, passed in 2014, not only helped build this building, but it's helped us to do a lot of other things too, including an exciting new fire station and fire training center that's being built out near the airport right now, and probably will open sometime later this year. Fourth priority is confronting climate crisis and championing environmental justice, and we really have done a lot of work in that area. And then, of course, strengthening the organizational health of our city government, which has, been a little more challenging in the past 2 years, but I think we've come through that pretty well. And finally, just enhancing community safety and quality of life. So those are our priorities. And so I'll start with housing. And these P's, we didn't come up with that. It's something that's been really instrumental in the work done by the Association of Bay Area Governments and in Plan Bay Area for the whole region, Plan Bay Area 2050. The 3 P's: preserve, protect, and produce. That's what we need to do with housing. We'll start with probably the most challenging part of that, even though building housing in general is challenging, but addressing the issue of homelessness. And we all know it exists here in Hayward and throughout the county, throughout the region, really I think throughout the country, but in California, I think partly because of our high housing prices. It's a particular problem. And I want to say it might not be completely evident to you yet, but it's starting to be that here in Hayward, the response we've taken to this issue is working. Since we opened our Hayward Housing Navigation Center in November of 2019, and we did not have to close it. We had to cut back during the pandemic its capacity, but we did not ever have to close it. It has served 255 people experiencing homelessness. And of the 208 people who have exited that program, 138 of them have been placed successfully into some form of permanent housing. And we also opened, in addition to the Navigation Center itself, which is out on Depot Road, we opened a former motel also on the west side of Hayward, converted it to help us maintain and extend our Navigation Center services during the pandemic. It has served 126 individuals, and 68 of 89 of them who have exited also have transitioned to permanent housing. Yeah, that's something to applaud, and it means a lot to the people I think who have actually made that transition, and to all the rest of us, not just knowing that we're doing something to help people in our community. And this progress has really showed up in the results of the most recent point-in-time count of people experiencing homelessness in the Bay Area, and particularly the Alameda County count, which took place on February 22nd, recorded a 22% drop in Hayward's population of people experiencing homeless compared to the numbers in 2019. And a 28% drop in the unsheltered part, because they also count in that people who are living in shelters like fiscal but in a 28% drop in unsheltered people who are actually out on the streets. And countywide, it was the opposite was true. The point in time count recorded a 22% increase in homelessness overall. So we are definitely doing something right here. And so I appreciate everyone in this room who has contributed to that. And I saw Diane, and I have to say our partner, it's all about partners, and AC Transit has been good in that. We have, people who don't have a house, don't usually have a car. Some of them have a car and no house, but many people really rely on the public transit system to get around. So we adopted in 2021 a new strategic plan called Let's House Hayward to continue responding to homelessness, and also just the increasing difficulty and affordability of housing, and so. We plan to keep doing what's working and looking for new opportunities to fill gaps in our ability to respond. And one such initiative, it's in the very early stages, but I will mention, you all know the St. Regis, the very prominent corner at Five Corners, been for a long time a rehabilitation center for people who need in house, living and services. But the owner passed away recently, and the family is selling that property, and so we are looking to get funding to convert that into a residential center for chronically homeless individuals exhibiting significant mental health and behavioral issues. There are people that we just can't send to the Navigation Center because of the state of their mental health. And this, having something where people can be sent who can recover, who can truly recover from, whatever it is that got them out on the streets in the first place. And I think that this may also, if the governor's care court's project gets approved, ultimately may work with that to see that we get people off the streets who really shouldn't be out there on the streets and help them to a better path. So, new housing development, and you all, I think, know what this is. I think this is I think this, well, it pretty much looks like this now, most of it, and it's coming along. It just looks great. This is, of course, Lincoln Landing up at the top of Foothill Boulevard, or the northern part of Foothill Boulevard. It is going to add 467 new apartments and 80,000, over 80,000 square feet of ground floor retail space. And so we expect this will draw more than 1,000 new residents to our cities. And, you know, considering the location, that's really going to help the downtown area here. Leasing, I understand, began this week. And the developer is, not that people are moving in yet, the developer is hoping to receive a certificate of occupancy in July. So, and meanwhile, residents are already moving into homes on the south end of Mission Boulevard, not the very south end, but near Industrial, in the development called Sohay, and that project, once completed, is creating 400 new condominiums, 28 of which are to be sold at below market prices to qualifying households. So here we're giving people who may have income but not enough to afford housing in the Bay Area, who isn't in that category, I might ask, but many of us already have a house, so we're lucky. But this is really going to help people get into that housing market, first-time home buyers. So, it's also going to add 20,000 square feet of ground floor retail, and also just 25 acres of sort of open space linked by a network of trails and passages and sidewalks and bike paths. And this is very close to the South Hayward BART station. So I think that's a great addition. And so it is the first completed project of what we're calling our State Route 238 properties. Now, you see those swatches of color on that map are sort of above that. Those were basically the properties that had been purchased by Caltrans, I think going back to the 60s, the 1960s, for a freeway through the foothills, which never got built, which was bitterly fought, I think, by a lot of residents its whole time, and finally died I believe it was sometime in the early 1990s, maybe, when we started planning what isn't so popular, what we call the loop in the downtown. We are working to fix that too. But meanwhile, all these properties were being rented out by Caltrans. A lot of the original homes were on them. Caltrans was not the best. I don't think there's anybody here from Caltrans today. They were not the best landlords in the world, but you know, we thought if they start selling these properties off one by one, or you know, just individually, it's just gonna, you know, it's a lost opportunity for what we would like to see up there, which is, you know, more opportunity for housing. So, and in about 10 years ago, I think, our city manager at the time, David, actually made this deal with Caltrans for us to purchase these properties at a given price that we didn't disclose, and then we would package them and title them, work with, seek developers for an exclusive negotiating agreement, and get what we want to see, mostly housing produced, although there is some commercial development. So, Sohay, which was parcel groups 1 and 10. You see that on the far right as you're facing the screen in that dark purplish blue. Those are the Sohay properties. I don't know why 10 was stuck down there, but the rest go up the road until you get to 9, that is up near where the Foothill Boulevard goes into the freeway. And we're combined, these properties have the potential and are already yielding hundreds more housing units and other amenities. So thus far, 933 units have been approved, and with the potential of at least 495 more on parcels still in pre-development and planning stages. And so this is being managed directly by the office of our city manager, Kelly McAdoo, and they're doing a great job in working with developers under this MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with the Caltrans. So we are also in the midst of updating our general plan housing element. The state requires every jurisdiction to have a housing element in their general plan, and the state has played a really active part lately in seeing that these housing elements conform to their expectations, and that we are doing our share to contribute to the region's housing needs. So it's really a blueprint by which we seek to meet these housing needs, and our share, which you'll hear the term RHNA floated around, that it stands for Regional Housing Needs Allocation, and that's something that the state does every year through the metropolitan planning agencies, issues expectations, numerical expectations for cities to meet in in producing housing units, and they're separated into the different levels of income. So there's housing for very low income, moderate income, and above moderate. We haven't ever had trouble producing our above moderate housing, but the others require cooperation and partnerships and funding. But we're doing pretty well. Right now, we are at 70% of our overall total for the cycle that ends in 2023, and then a new cycle will start. So next topic, probably very dear to this group, growing the economy. I mentioned the 238 properties, and one of them, which is parcel group 6, I believe. 6, yes, Kelly's nodding, is this brand new Subaru dealership, which I think is coming, I think is having its ribbon cutting this week. This particular parcel group we devoted totally to commercial and got the Subaru dealership on Mission Boulevard, which really adds. I know there was a time during the recession, the Great Recession around 2009, that we really thought we were in risk of losing all of our auto row, but we didn't. We lost some of the big American dealerships, but we've gained and kept many more. So Toyota is thriving, I think, and we've got the Subaru now. So, and many others along that route are still there, and that's not the only newcomer. Now this is not one of the Caltrans sites, but the former Kmart site is going to be now redeveloped. It's going to have a Sprouts, which I think everybody in the area is really excited about, and some other food options there. So that's what's happening at the Kmart site. There's a new gym with a pool called City Sports Gym coming to Lincoln Landing. There's a new high-end men's clothing store and major real estate office coming to Sohay. And earlier this year, we celebrated the new location along Mission Boulevard of a popular Mexican restaurant, La Victoria Taqueria. I have been to countless, along with Kim and his big scissors, ribbon cuttings in the last few months since we've kind of been a little bit open again. Businesses are opening, new businesses. I think businesses are reopening. We know some are closing too, but I think the outlook is pretty good for attracting business right now. So our industrial area as well, we are experiencing growth, and you'll see some of the logos of companies up here that have recently joined us. We this year boasted 3 finalists in something that's become known as the Academy Awards of East Bay Industry. It's the East Bay Economic Development Alliance's Innovation Awards, Annual Innovation Awards. And we had the most finalists, 3 of any other city. This is East Bay, so it's Alameda and Contra Costa County. And the 3 companies and we've had winners in the past several years, and this year we have a company called Nalumbo, which is a pioneering company in advanced materials and science and advanced surface modification. We have Gelpack that does device protection in industrial transportation. I'm not actually even sure what that means, but I'm sure it's important. Potrero Medical, which is a biotech, and we're really trying to company cutting edge in the predictive health space, and we are really trying to attract biotech. Life sciences is a sector that we are really going after and having some success with. And west of 880, we have the Industrial Crescent. It's just booming with projects, and there's $1 billion in new real estate investment in the pipeline along Clawwitter, Depot Road, Witzel Streets, and Enterprise Avenue. The former Berkeley Farms and Gillig bus sites are being redeveloped. There's the Heinz Exchange on Route 92 will house a new multi-million-dollar Amazon data center, not a warehouse or a delivery place, but a data center. And we are also, we are working with a company to redevelop right now the California Air National Guard structure out at the airport, which I know for years we hoped to save, but the building is in just really terrible shape, and it really has to come down. You know, it's a problem these days because we want our new buildings to be environmentally, properly equipped to save water, to save energy, and the old buildings it's hard to do that with them. But this new development will be a life sciences, office and development space for companies. It will be leased out, but they are also planning to build a 4,000 square foot museum to tell the story and honor the Tuskegee Airmen. Actually, it's right on Winton Boulevard, where that driveway that goes into the Meridian development at the airport is called Tuskegee Airman Avenue, and so it'll be right there, and it's really going to be, from what we've seen so far, it's in the planning stages, but it's going to be beautiful. And so, we are definitely really making some good strides in our industrial development. We have our economic development team has been really busy working on things that can help our business community. And so I hope you've heard of and are participating in our division's Shop Local Gift Hayward e-card program. And you could probably talk to Catherine Ralston or Suzanne Phyllis back there if you're interested in that after I finish talking here. The Economic Development Division was the first in the nation to roll out a COVID-19 grant program to sustain local small businesses really near the beginning of the pandemic, and they were highly recognized for that effort and for being the first out the door with those checks. And we put our own city money in, and later that's been augmented with funds from the federal government and state government too, I believe. And we have a new partnership that our Economic Development Division is teaming with Cal State East Bay MBA program to create a Hayward Open for Business video marketing campaign. So there we're getting students who can create something, get some experience. We're teaming up with them, and we'll have a new ad campaign for our business sector. As the industry comes here and invests in Hayward, we have to make complementary investments in our public infrastructure and general community building efforts. And so here is a slide that kind of shows you where our capital money goes to. This year, our budget calls for $118 million to improve streets, the water and sewer system, parks, and other public facilities. And we're projecting $634 million in improvements through fiscal year 2032. So over the next 10 years, these projects don't happen overnight. And that Measure C sales taxes really continuing to help us do these projects. We built the library. We've done a lot of the work we originally planned, and we're actually seeing returns come in, more than we had anticipated. So that's serving us well. One of the largest is a partnership we have with HARD to develop La Vista Park. It's on a 25-acre hillside site at Tennyson Road, right just east of Mission Boulevard, up on that bluff there. It's being planned as an active, passive recreation destination for the entire city. It's got 180-degree views of the Bay, of the San Francisco Bay and the area. My husband calls that the Five Bridge view. It's going to be spectacular. It will also have trails, sports fields and courts and amphitheater, a yoga lawn. Yoga's very in right now, and much more. So watch for that to come in the next couple of years. this is an important project to us, our annual pavement improvement project. It's not all that interesting, but it's essential to keep our roads, well paved. We have a method of going through the city and how we select. We've brought equity into this process to make sure we're, we are investing in areas of, in some of our lower income areas of town, as well as, in our, high profile business districts. And we do get money through the gas tax each year and other sources to do this work every year. And when we invested a number of years ago in particularly big pot of money we had gotten to bring our what you call the pavement condition index, PCI. We want to keep it at 70 or above, and we were able to bring it up to 70, and so the work we're doing each year now is helping us maintain that, and that means the streets are in good condition. You may quarrel with me about that on particular streets, but they're on the list, and if you check our website, I believe you can find out, or just send an email to any council member, and we'll find out for you when the street you're concerned about is going to be on the list and redone. Now here is a very exciting project that I won't see completed during my tenure as mayor, but I've been working on the whole time I've been mayor. It started before I was mayor, and this is a project to rebuild that building known as the Eden Youth and Family Center on Tennyson at Roos. It's a sort of mustard color building. I'm sure you all know it. It is an old school building, very old, to the point that in the early 1990s, my first official city appointment was to the commission that decided how the city or made recommendations about how the city was going to spend its community development block grant funding from the federal government. And I remember Gail Steele, the late Gail Steele, we have lost her during this pandemic, but former county supervisor, former city council member, her passion was that youth center, and she was very instrumental in the early planning stages for the new center. I can remember her coming into that commission in the early 90s, like the building needs, a roof repair, or the water system doesn't work. It was just something every year. And so we're finally going to replace that building with a new building that you see before you. I don't think this shows it off in quite the way. There is a passage in sort of, you can see it kind of right there. You see through some trees. You'll walk through that back into the open area behind the Matt Jimenez Center and the rest of Tennyson Park. It's going to be a great place for that community and for people to gather. We had a formal fundraising campaign kickoff last July, and we still are trying to raise funds, although we've gotten some very significant grants, including one thanks to Assemblymember Quirk from the state, and also our Congressman, Eric Swalwell, got us a grant, which I think has come through now from the federal government. We're looking for another state grant for library assistance to come through, and so we're making progress. But if you would like to contribute to this, I know that we see me afterwards, and I'll direct you in the right to the right place. So one of the things that we did, actually, we're using some of the money that we got from the American Rescue Plan Act or whatever, that ARPA, we call it ARPA, from the federal government to help communities recover from the pandemic. We took some of our money, $350,000 of it, and we created something called the Hayward People's Budget. We divided the city up into 6 sectors and allowed people to propose projects in each of those sectors. And then we had a community vote, and the top 2 projects voted in each sector will be granted funding to. They don't all cost the same thing. Some of the projects chosen were a night market in one of the areas, a mental health camp for teens, a roller and inline skating event, community farms and gardens. So there's a lot of good stuff coming in the next year or so from that project. And we really did put this money out there and say, okay, people, what do you want to do with it? And they responded. this is an area that I think we should all be extremely proud of Hayward, of the Hayward's community efforts to confront the climate crisis and champion environmental justice and environmental quality overall. We have done so much in the last, really going back to, I believe, Mayor Roberta Cooper's tenure, where she first urged the city to adopt a climate action plan through her membership in various state and national organizations. And I really think I can say Hayward is arguably the greenest city in the San Francisco Bay Area. I know there are cities that might argue with us a little bit, but we have done made multitude of investments and initiatives to reduce our carbon footprint, conserve water, keep the bay clean, and respond to challenges like rising sea levels. So this project concerns our recycled water system. We are taking water that comes into our wastewater treatment plant and gets treated to a certain quality and then gets sent out in purple pipes to we began in April delivering some of this water to customers within 3 miles of our plant, our wastewater treatment plant, for them to use on landscaping, their landscaping needs. It's fully approved and safe to use for that purpose. It is not potable water, but we're taking water that otherwise would be dumped into the bay and we're using it to water landscape and save potable water from being used for that purpose. And we're now delivering 260,000 gallons a day to 31 park, school, and commercial users. And we have plans to expand it and deliver more. And along the lines of conserving water, I have to mention my favorite thing about this library is that across the street in Heritage Plaza, where the old library stood, when it was torn down, there was a basement in that old library, and we converted it to like a cistern that you can't see it. It's under the big grass area out over on the plaza, but it will collect rainwater in the wet season if we ever have one again, and use that rainwater will be used to water the landscaping over there and in this area in general. And if you have a chance to use the restroom facilities here in the library, the water in the toilets is going to come from that. I'm not sure that that's actually happening quite yet. Do you know, Kelly? Is it?
I think we're in the commissioning phase, so the next few months.
Yes, we should start that soon, but that was a very good water-saving feature of this building. Yeah, and here again, we're making great strides. This building is, I forget, Kelly, is this LEED Platinum? Wasn't it LEED Platinum? Yeah, LEED Platinum. We were talking earlier. In terms of the energy conservation, infrastructure that is in this building, our waste, I talked about our water pollution control facility, basically the wastewater treatment plant. It used to be the biggest user of energy in our entire city operations. It used a lot of energy to run that plant. Now it actually produces more energy than it needs for itself. So we're providing excess energy to the grid out of that plant through a large solar array and some this machine that takes methane and turns it into energy, renewable biogas. I don't always understand the science of these things, but I understand the effect, the accomplishments, what we get out of doing these things, and I'm definitely glad and grateful to all the people who make these things happen, who do understand how they work. This is designed to net zero energy use standards, and so we're also working on developing new rules for housing developments regarding, we're in the process, as is the whole region and state, I believe, phasing out natural gas, and making things more electric. our shoreline is one of our greatest assets, and I'm proud of Hayward for not having developed a lot out on that shoreline like we see across the bay and in many other areas around the bay. We kept ours natural. It is it's a great recreational resource for us, but it is also now going to be a big factor in protecting our side of the bay against, our area against climate change, because natural marshes are really a way of naturally protecting areas that are going to be subject to sea level rise. And so we, in February of 2021, actually, we approved our regional shoreline adaptation plan. We worked with both Hayward Area Recreation District and the East Bay Regional Park District to develop this plan. They both have park facilities out there in that area, and so it calls for phased levee raising and construction and new resilience building habitat, tidal marsh, wetland restoration, and enhancement projects. So the plan is to protect basically an array of of facilities out there. Are water treatment facilities, flood control pump stations. We have the energy plan is out there, private industrial development, our airport, So protect what we can't really move, but preserve a lot of it as it is now. And there will be some relocation of the trails and recreational facilities, but it will remain a great asset for people who like to hike out by the bay. So organizational health, it is important. You all, many of you are business people, business owners. If you think of the city as a business, we have 900 employees who are working every day to provide services to this city. And our fiscal outlook is strong. It's stronger, I think, than it's been since I've been on the council, really, because, we went through that recession and now we're in the pandemic, but nevertheless, that we have passed a lot of policies at the council level to improve our long-term financial outlook, and they are paying off big time. This year, we are actually have approved a budget that is balanced and contains a healthy 23% operating reserve. Our goal is for a 20% reserve. So we've now exceeded our reserve goal, and we're making great strides in paying down what you hear about the long-term liabilities for employee retirement and post-employment benefits like health care. These are often just paid as a pay-as-you-go as people retire, but we're trying to build up the funds we have available so that we don't have to put so much money in each year. The interest will allow us to kind of sustain it and not have to use so much of our general fund for that purpose. We did, I have to admit, and I'm very, very grateful to the federal government. And here it is, American Rescue Plan Act. Yeah, I think I got that right. ARPA. We got $34 million that's been sent over a 2-year period. I'm not sure if we have the second. Do we have the second try? We do, yes. And last year we got the first 17 million, and we have done a lot with that. We have shared that with our community, and we have used it to provide economic relief to residents, businesses, nonprofit organizations. We helped our own fiscal recovery, because we did put a lot of money out. We risked, getting our reserve lower than we would like to have had it to help our community through the pandemic. And so we were able to replace a lot of that money from this federal funding, and it helped to provide a really strong public health response during the pandemic. And we're using some of it to also beef up our infrastructure, particularly water, sewer, and broadband. Enhancing community safety and quality of life is another one of our priorities, as I had said earlier. And so I'll just briefly go through some, because I think I've covered this in the past, that our Hayward Fire Department in March of 2020, on March 23rd specifically of 2020, opened the nation's first city-initiated COVID-19 testing site at the Firehouse Clinic grounds, or at the Firehouse Clinic on the grounds of Fire Station 6. That's at the east end of Tennyson Park. And we distributed masks and other personal protective equipment to Hayward essential businesses, employees, day laborers, and we later opened a vaccination site at that Firehouse Clinic as well, once the vaccine became available. We also, within weeks of declaring this health emergency, our city manager's office mobilized a new weekly food distribution at Chabot College. I think that had actually been out at Sky West in the beginning, moved to Chabot later, kept going for well over a year, I think, until we did finally end it. There's still a need for food out there, and I know a lot of our nonprofits are experiencing that. But this, my husband and I volunteered a few times. We had many volunteers from the community to help with this effort, and it was just an incredible effort. I want to give Zach Ibadi, he really did a lot of work in coordinating that, and yeah. I think we helped sustain a lot of families for that period with food that they otherwise might not have had. And we had food donated by businesses in our community. We had food. The Alameda County Food Bank was a great partner in that. And as were businesses in our food businesses in our area donated, and I think we got some federal food as well. So it was maybe a little bit different each week, but boxes and bags of food were given to these hundreds and hundreds of cars who would pass through while we were open. And we have, put a lot of money into giving small grants to our business community, our small businesses that suffered a lot during the pandemic. I don't know if that was a little premature. That was last summer that we reopened. But I think that for the most part, we have been open. Restaurants have been operating again. Stores are operating in the downtown. It was certainly lively last Saturday with the Juneteenth celebration. So we're coming back, and we're coming to the end, I'm happy to say. This one initiative, though, is very important. And Hayward was not alone, of course, in having a lot of concerns expressed about actions of police officers following the killing in 2020 of George Floyd in Minneapolis. We know we had protests here. We had a lot of lobbying of our city council to reduce police funding and put it to our community services, which is its intent is proper, but we all know, I think, that we really needed our police services, and I think that we have an outstanding police department that has the right attitude and passion and caring, to serve our community, but there were some good points made about other needs, and a lot of the incidents that result in unwanted consequences that have occurred through police actions in Hayward have had an element of mental health. People struggling with mental health problems at their core, and police may not be the best people to respond to people with intense mental health and issues, although sometimes they're the only ones who really can, and they're the ones who are called upon. So we are now teaming. We developed a set of initiatives that basically boil down to partnering our police and fire department, our first responders, with mental health experts. And one of those programs we are calling HEART, a wonderful anagram. It refers to the Hayward Evaluation and Response Team. And so we have brought mental health experts into our police department in the dispatch center, and to a team, the HEART team, to travel and respond to certain calls that come in where it's felt that input might be needed. And I think this will greatly help de-escalate bad situations and get people connected with the help that they need. So That's one big. Now, I'm sure that you might not even be aware of this, but every year around this time we start to have a lot of complaints about fireworks for some reason. I don't know if any of you are aware of that, but yes, we do. There are. I'm kidding, of course, because we've all heard them. I have to say, my husband and I have a habit of, he doesn't like to watch commercials. That might not be a good thing to say to all of you, but he doesn't. So whenever we watch a big game, we record it. And we start recording it, and then about a half an hour later, we start watching it so that we can skip through those commercials. And so often, though, we are not up to date at the end of the game, and we get spoiled. I mean, we get our surprise outcome spoiled by sometimes if our team is winning, like the Warriors did the last few weeks, by fireworks going on outside. So we know, oh yeah. We've told ourselves, well, maybe it's just early 4th of July, but when those fireworks start and there's a Warrior game on, that it probably means they won. But that's just a funny example. I mean, there are a lot of serious downside to the kind of fireworks, especially, that are being put up right now. Huge, loud booms. And I mean, it is crazy to do that in this area at this time of year, given the fire danger that we have. And so what we were doing in the past just wasn't working because police, people say, why can't you arrest these people? Well, our police have to see somebody setting off a firework before they can make that arrest. Now we have developed a program, and we'll see how it works this year. And it's gonna need community members to actually be observant and report. But we can bring civil citations against properties that are being used to set off fireworks, and it's much easier to get evidence of that, and any resident can report something happening on that property, and then you can't always catch people actually setting them up, but we can catch the aftermath, and we can go after the property owners with assessments and fines. They're going to start at $1,200 per incident and move up to $3,000 and $5,000 for second and third incidents. So it's not going to be cheap. I hope that this will get the attention of property owners and help diminish the incredible amount of fireworks we hear every year at this time. And then I have been particularly a fan. I mean, I love the arts. That's what I like to do in my free time. I have no artistic talent in any field whatsoever, much to my great. That's why I had to do this, get into politics and be mayor, because I can't be dancing or singing or creating beautiful paintings. But I appreciate the people who do that, and I appreciate that we all get to enjoy those things. And so I'm very proud of the fact that I established Hayward's first poet laureate, and you see the gentleman on the left up there, Bruce Roberts, who has been our poet laureate for several years now. He may just go on to be a lifetime poet laureate, but at his urging, this year we selected a Hayward Youth Poet Laureate. So move aside Amanda Gorman, as wonderful as she is and was at the President Biden's inauguration, and this is Germani A. Latchison, who was selected through a competitive process led by the Hayward Arts Council, and I heard Germani's poem at something called Litquake that we had on Heritage Plaza grounds a few weeks ago, and it was a powerful, powerful message, and several other poems from youth at that event. So we have some real growing talent in this area, and so there you see Germani getting her certificate and recognition as the first poet laureate, youth poet laureate in Hayward. And so with that, I am prepared, hopefully, to answer any questions or welcome any comments any of you may have. And I'm going to ask our city manager to come up, who can help me out, because she knows a lot more than I do about the details of everything that is happening in this city. But, thank you. But anyway, and Zach will come around with a microphone if anyone has any questions. There he is over there. So if you do, or if I've covered, okay, here we have one from Diane.
First, I just want to say I think you have done a wonderful job. I think being the only city in the county of Alameda to have the homeless count go down is just an amazing thing. And with all the development you have going on, I've been very impressed. So I just wanted to say that publicly. Secondly, my question is around Sulphur Creek. Is Sulphur Creek going to be opening soon, do you know?
You mean the part at the airport?
No, the rehabilitation, the nature center for wildlife.
Oh, that's maybe Mr. Wheeler can answer that one.
So the animal hospital was open during the entire pandemic, and the nature center has been open. My daughter was a CIT there last summer. So I don't know if the walk-in programming to like actually, and I know there's programs on the weekend, I know the interpretive center's open, the hospital's open, we've taken animals continually through the pandemic, so.
Okay, thank you.
So, any other questions? Okay. Oh, here we have one over here. Oh, there. Dan.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. So, using the St. Regis Center for some homeless rehabilitation. So, some of the concerns I hear from the business community is that homeless people occupying doorways and so forth, like on B Street and Main Street, areas like that, are kind of producing an unattractive situation for regular folks who want to come visit and do business there. And I'm just wondering whether the potential impact on having resources so close to the business district might further that problem.
Actually, we're thinking that it will help that problem because we now will have a place where we can send people and be assured that they're going to get what they need for as long as they need, be in. And some of it will be probably they won't really be able to move around. Do you want to add anything to that, Kelly?
I would just share that I think the vision for the St. Regis Center is for that kind of missing homeless population that is has too many mental challenges, mental health challenges to be suitable for the Homeless Navigation Center, but they're not ill enough to be at John George. And so it would be a residential facility. So the thought is a lot of times those folks who are occupying door stoops and in front of businesses, they'll go to John George and they'll be released 2 hours later and be back on the streets because John George is just over capacity and doesn't have the ability to manage those folks on a long-term basis. So the thought is this would be really that sort of supportive service facility that would provide both substance abuse, mental health services, and could be an inpatient facility that would those folks that aren't sick enough to be permanently in John George.
We'll certainly work to have good supervision and yet, as people can get out in the community, that can really help people heal too when they're ready to do that. Not sleeping in a doorway, but just being out, maybe sitting on a park bench or enjoying, the library here. I mean, they're members of our community, and if they can get through their challenges that make it difficult to have them in our midst, that's positive. So.
Yeah, it's a great plan and it's a great explanation. Thank you for that. And I really do applaud you, Mayor Halliday, for your leadership on seeing compassionate programs for the homeless that are also very workable for the business community. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I will say that I work with the other mayors. I've been working for a few years with other mayors, mostly of other Alameda County cities, and our staffs, our city managers have met like almost monthly for 3 or 4 years now to address these issues in a unified way and work. A lot of the funding for these things comes from the county, so we have to work together to lobby for that funding to come to us and be directed in the right way. So we really are working hard on these issues. Is there another one over here, I think?
I also had a concern about the St. Regis. I just wanted to follow up. That is so close to Bret Hart Junior High. And
Yeah.
my granddaughter goes to camp. I mean, that is very concerning that, some of these people, they do need help, absolutely, but they also can be dangerous. And you're talking about being so close to children, and I don't, as well as people who live on that street or near that street. I mean, and then you're right up the street from All Saints. I mean, that's just very, very close to a lot of children. And I don't know, has that been considered? Is there nobody who is concerned about this?
I think that, I think we think that that will not be a problem, but, I mean, they're out there now, people. I mean, now we're gonna be helping people get the care and services they need. I don't think that they will, in general, be coming and going, freely from that facility. So again, I would say, I think there's gonna be, it will help to actually minimize the dangers that are out there right now by getting people off the street.
So it will be a lockdown?
I imagine there will be parts of it, definitely, that,
There is a part of the facility would be, a secured facility, and there would be site security, and there is an ability to close off that site. So I think we're very cognizant of Bret Hart and the community. I mean, I think frankly, the residents that live around there are experiencing it right now with folks, camping right there at Five Flags and creating, nuisances, on their properties. And so this is an alternative where it's monitored, it's supervised, where folks aren't just able to be wherever they want to be and creating problems in the community. So I feel like the community partner that we have that would be operating that center has really solid background in managing these types of facilities, and just a great sort of business model for it. So I totally hear the concern.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's something that as the project comes through the approval process, there'll be an opportunity for us to have a
Yeah.
dialogue. We're very, very early stages of the project.
right, and we will be hearing from the community and trying to communicate with the community, and we do take the concern seriously. But I do think we have to do something, and this facility coming on the market right now as it is just such a great opportunity to provide, without too much, cost of building something totally new somewhere, a place where what we don't really have right now. John George has not been the answer for our communities, and I can tell you from talking with all the other mayors, I'm not the only one who's saying that. And so we think that this is a model that will help get people off the streets and maybe get them out of that, the situations that led them there and into a more productive future. And but I do think that we will certainly be hearing a lot of the same concerns, and we'll be working really hard to address them and make sure that what we're doing there is safe for everybody around there.
Okay, so my other thing would be, back to economic development is, would the city consider having a commission or a group just specifically for events? Because I think
Thank you for asking that, because I actually forgot to mention in my last slide, when I was showing off the youth poet laureate, that I have been lobbying, and we have strong council support to create such an arts and culture and events commission, and we're really, I hope that I'm going to see at least the start of the creation of that commission before I leave my tenure as mayor. But I know I have other fellow council members who are strongly supporting that effort as well, because we do provide some funding, and I think it's a very separate thing from what our Community Services Commission does, where they're providing social service funding, and the block grant funding, which has very specified uses, and it's a real different thing when you're talking about arts and culture organizations. And while we do fund these things, I think having a separate community, resident-based commission to figure out what we're going to fund and how much and how we're going to use the money that we're able to put out for these is a good thing. And we're working hard. I'm working hard, and I think we're going to actually see it happen. So thanks for bringing that up, because I forgot to mention it, and I was going to mention it at the end there.
Thank you very much. I think that would really help business, our recent event here.
And your endorsement right now has helped to move it along, I think, so thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victor. I work with Downtown Streets team, and we work with the house population. I'm from Berkeley and started working in Hayward 2 months ago. And I must say, the city of Hayward is amazing. The welcome I got from Kim into the business community was totally fantastic. And just to see the enthusiasm of Hayward is encouraging. I say this because what I'm seeing needs to be done with the unhoused population is build a bridge between the business community and the unhoused community in the understanding that the businesses are what make it possible for the unhoused situation to be solved. So where we come in as an organization is having those conversations that will shift the paradigm where there is a them and us perspective to become a Hayward perspective. We are part of Hayward. So I'm saying this to say that Downtown Streets team is very happy to engage in those conversations that make people realize that we need each other. And I'm happy to be a point person to that when it comes to our unhoused community. But most of all, I want to say thank you. Hayward is such a beautiful city. It's a joy driving in, and I'm so honored to serve Hayward. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I will say Downtown Streets team has been a tremendous partner for us in this effort and has helped a lot of people. And you'll see, and has helped the city, has helped the downtown. You may see them in their, I think, is it orange? The orange that's out there, picking up litter, helping clean up, helping keep our downtown clean. So thank you. I'm glad you spoke up, and thank you and welcome. And But the organization itself, we've been in partnership for several years now, and they've really done a lot of great work. So, I'm not seeing any other hands raised, so, we have one more, okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Elena Lepe. I am resident in Hayward. I am parents, and I have a new organization, El Puente Comunitario, starting in 2020, and last year I have a approved for area rest. So I say thank you for Hayward and all the staff in Mayor. Thank you for include the sectors. The sector 6, I participate in sector 4. Thank you. I involve the whole community for help, other support for kids. I am waiting for one proposal, so I share this community for the voices. So the other proposal is, other my comments is, identify the problem, right? But it's important that what is the solution. So in my experience, I work in the community every day, one-to-one. So I like see it's possible include the one strategy for help the homeless. I see in the Santa Clara Street include the park. I see a lot of homeless. But I see the problem. What is the problem for what next step? I go directly one or two persons ask, okay, you need to go to the place, you need the support. Oh no, I'm not like that. Please keep in here. Okay, so this is a more important. What is the strategy for include the support for the homeless? So this possible include the one committee maybe for help the homeless, or one place in the city of Hayward, some homeless no want to go to the place directly, only maybe take a shower or clean. That's a good idea for me. And the other support, so I say thank you for every work in the city of Hayward. I have one comment more. The last time I participated one input for all community. The question is for recruitment, Mr. Superintendent Hayward. So the question say, the company say, what is the beauty for have Hayward? I say the Hayward have a lot of community. I have resource. I have a multi-races. I have a lot of support for supporting Hayward. The more important is safety. This is my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think, I think we try to take a compassionate view and help people with what they need, and that's not always an easy thing to do. But the more different facilities we can and programs we have that can meet people's needs, the more people we can help. So thank you for the comment. So with that, I see Kim coming up here, right? All right.
Frank and I are coming up, but it turns out that there's a pane of glass here. I was about to walk right through it. I go down the middle.
Where there's no glass. So thank you all. I really appreciate.
You can stay up here with us, Barbara.
Ah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It was a great event. Like I said, we will get back to the tablecloths and silverware at some point.
And
But
food,
thank you
and food too.
for your support today, especially thank you to our sponsors. Your support helps us support Leadership Hayward, the leaders in government, business, and organizations here as we go forward. I think I can say, as I retire from this position, that our city is in good hands and our chamber is in good hands. So that's why I'm going to put Frank on the spot and let you take us home.
Dismissed. No, thank you very much for everyone for coming. And next year, it's going to be bigger, better, and we're going to get
No
back.
masks.
Yeah, you can bring a mask, just for giggles. But hopefully, we'll be out of the pandemic all the way, and we can all get together as one big community and really celebrate all the good things and identify all the challenges that we all can work on as well as a community. And I'm just really blessed to be a part of it. So thank you very much, everyone.